Hello everyone. I am Anurag Wadhwa, an officer of Indian Railway Personnel Service Civil Services Examination 2015 batch. Today, I will be discussing with you some of the aspects related to the provisions and procedure about how the seniority of non-gazetted staff in Indian Railways is fixed. So let's get started. Let's first look at some of the general principles governing seniority of employees. Firstly, the seniority among the incumbents of a post in a grade is basically governed by the date of appointment to the grade. This basically means that the person entering a grade earlier than the other will be ranked senior. So, for the posts which are completely filled up by direct recruitment and for direct recruits among themselves, the date of appointment to that post determines their seniority among themselves. However, there are many posts which are partially filled up by promotion of existing employees in lower or equivalent grades, as the case may be, and partially by direct recruitment. The criteria to determine the seniority in such cases is the date of regular promotion in the case of promoted employees and the date of joining of working post in the case of a direct recruit. Then there might be cases where it might so happen that the dates of entry into a grade of promoted railway servant and direct recruits are the same. In such a condition, they should be put in alternate positions, with the promoted employee being senior to the direct employee, maintaining inter se seniority of each group. That is, while placing the direct recruits and promoted employees in alternate positions in the seniority list, promoted employee is placed first and then the direct recruit and so on till the entire group is placed in the seniority list in alternate positions. Also, there might be more common instances where the dates of appointment to the grade of two or more employees are same. In such instances, the dates of entry into the grade next below it shall determine the relative seniority of the employees. If those dates are also coinciding, then the dates of entry into each of the lower grades down to the lowest grade in the channel of promotion shall determine seniority. If these dates are also identical, then the relative date of birth shall determine seniority, with the older person being senior. Another point to mention is that a railway employee, once promoted against a vacancy, should generally be considered senior in that grade to all other employees who are subsequently promoted to that grade. So, if an employee X is promoted and posted earlier to a grade, then he will be ranked senior to all other employees who are promoted to the same grade at a later date after him. Next, in case of direct recruits, there might be cases where the training period of a direct recruit is curtailed, maybe in the exigencies of service. The date of joining the working post in case of such a direct recruit for the purpose of seniority shall be the date he would have normally come to a working post after completion of his prescribed period of training. Now, what does that mean? Basically, for purpose of fixing his seniority, it is assumed that the recruit would have completed his normal schedule of his training and would have joined his working post after that. And the date on which he would have joined so is taken as the date of entry into that grade for finalizing his seniority. Then there are some of the railways employees who are required to undergo periodical refresher courses and pass the exam at the end of such courses. Let's see what happens to their seniority in case such employees fail in these periodical courses. So, staff employed in train passing or train operation duties are to be absorbed in alternate category not involving train passing and train operation duties if they fail to pass the periodical refresher course even in the second attempt. However, they are allowed to undertake further refresher course at an interval of a minimum period of 6 months, and they are reabsorbed in original category on occurrence of the first vacancy if they pass this refresher course. So what happens to their seniority in such case? In such a case, the employee should lose seniority by the number of places from his original position equivalent to the number of persons promoted during this interval between his absorption in an alternate category and his eventual reabsorption in the original category. That means, for instance, if an employee holds the 15th position in his original seniority category and is placed in some alternate category on failing this exam, and during his absence, three persons were promoted in the original category, he would then, on reabsorption in the original category, rank as 18th in the seniority list, thereby losing seniority to these three promoted employees and being junior to them. Now let's look at how the seniority of candidates recruited through the Railway Recruitment Board or any other recruitment agency in railways is fixed. First, let's talk about the post where the candidates so recruited are required to undergo initial training. Candidates who are sent for initial training to training institutes will rank in seniority in the relevant grade based on the order of merit obtained in the examination held at the end of the training period before they are being posted against working posts. So, irrespective of their RRB rank allotted to them, their seniority is decided based on the merits or marks secured in the examination held at the end of the training, with person securing higher marks ranking senior in the seniority list. Also, all the candidates who join the subsequent courses and those who pass the examination in subsequent chances will rank junior to all those who had already passed the examination earlier. Then there might be instances, particularly in cases where direct recruits join in large numbers, especially in bigger divisions, where the training institutes have a limited capacity to accommodate the candidates. In such cases, when persons belonging to same RRB panel are sent for initial training in batches due to administrative reason, the inter-se seniority will be regulated batch-wise. Now, the post where the candidates do not have to undergo any initial training, the seniority should be determined on the basis of merit order assigned to them by Railway Recruitment Board. So, the person ranked higher by the recruitment agency will be ranked higher in seniority as well as compared to the other candidates. In cases where two or more candidates are declared to be of equal merit at one and the same examination, their relative seniority is determined by the date of birth. That is, the older person will be ranked senior to the other. Now, there might be cases when a candidate cannot join duty within a reasonable time after the receipt of the order of appointment. In such cases, the appointing authority may determine the seniority of such candidate by placing him below all the candidates selected at the same examination but who have joined within the period allowed for reporting to duty. This candidate may even be placed below the candidate selected at a subsequent examination who have joined before him. This essentially means not necessarily his panel seniority is protected in case the candidate does not join the working post within reasonable time after receiving his appointment letter. Also, as a general principle, candidates selected for appointment at an earlier selection shall be senior to those selected later, irrespective of the date of posting, except in the cases coming under point mentioned above, where regarding the candidates not joining the duty within reasonable time allowed for the same. Okay, now let's see what happens when there is a specified probationary period an employee has to render before getting confirmed. In cases where the probationary period of a candidate is extended and probationary period is followed by an extended probationary period followed by his confirmation, the date of appointment to the grade or post for such a candidate should be reckoned from the date later than the commencement of probationary period to the extent of the extension of probationary period. That means the date of commencement of probationary period will be pushed further by the number of days by which his probation is extended, and the date so arrived would be treated as his date of appointment for determining his seniority. In cases where probationary period is not extended and staff are confirmed at the end of such period, the date of appointment to the grade or post will be that on which employees were sent to the training school for initial training, or the date of joining of working post, whichever is earlier. Now let us look at how the seniority of employees is fixed in case of their promotion. So in such cases where the passing of departmental examination or trade test has been prescribed as a condition precedent to the promotion to a particular non-selection post, the relative seniority of railway servants passing the examination in their due turn and on the same date shall be determined with reference to their substantive or basic seniority. That is, the employees in lower grade on passing the examination in first attempt will be assigned seniority in higher grade based on their relative seniority in the lower grade. There might be cases where a railway servant, for reasons beyond his control, is unable to appear in the examination is in his turn, along with other employees who are called for the examination. In such cases, he shall be given the examination immediately after he is available, and if he passes the same, he shall be entitled for promotion to the post as if he had passed the examination in his turn. That means that at the first opportunity when the employee is available and allowed to appear in the examination, if he passes the same, it is assumed as if he had passed the examination at first instance along with others, and the seniority for this employee is fixed accordingly. But while looking at this provision, we should pause for a moment and also note that expression reasons beyond his control appearing above should be interpreted to include the following reasons. First, sickness of railway servant supported by medical certificate of authorized medical attendant. Secondly, sickness of members of a railway servant's family supported by medical certificate of authorized attendant. So serious that the railway servant could not be reasonably expected to take the test. Thirdly, proved non-receipt of intimation of examination owing to being on leave or on duty elsewhere other than the headquarter or for any other reasons acceptable by the administration. And lastly, administration not relieving the railway servant for such examination. All such cases will come under this provision, and in such instances, the employee should be allowed to appear in the examination. In case an employee lower in the panel has officiated and effected the promotion, whereas one higher has not officiated for reasons beyond his control, such as sickness or non release by administration, etc., the senior employee who has effected promotion later will not lose his seniority. However, if the senior employee had not effected the promotion out of his own volition, then he will not be entitled for protection of his seniority. An employee who could not be considered for selection on account of his being away on deputation abroad. On return, if it is found that a junior to him has been promoted on the basis of a selection test in which he was not called because of him being away for deputation, he may be considered in the next selection test, and if selected, his seniority may be adjusted vis-a-vis his junior in the previous panel. That means, on his availability, he is called for selection test, and on passing the same, it is assumed as if he had passed the test along with his junior, had he not been away on deputation, and on his promotion, his seniority vis-a-vis his junior is recast accordingly. In the case of a selection post, if an employee, as referred above in the case of deputation away, is classified as outstanding, he should be interpolated in the previous panel in accordance with the seniority as well as gradation in subsequent selection. Then there are cases where employee, because of their reason, submit their unwillingness to effect the promotion. Let's see what does it have as its effect on the seniority of the employee. Well, there might be instances where the employees who have been promoted and on promotion posted to a different station as compared to their current one might not be willing to change their station and to that effect submit their unwillingness to effect promotion. In such cases, the employees refusing promotion expressly or otherwise is debarred for further promotion for 1 year, but he is allowed to be retained at the same station on the same post for 1 year. Seniority will be assigned as from the date of effect of promotion, and he will be junior to all the persons promoted earlier to him from the same panel, irrespective of his panel position. He will, however, not lose seniority to another employee promoted to the same promotion category during the 1 year of his penalty as a result of fresh selection subsequently held. If the employee again refuses to effect the promotion, his name will be deleted from the panel and he will have to appear again for the selection. Sometimes, due to administrative error, staff are overlooked for promotion to higher grades. This could be either on account of wrong assignment of relative seniority of the eligible staff or full facts not being placed before the selection board. Broadly, such erroneous promotion can be of two types. First, where a person has not been promoted at all because of the administrative error. Or secondly, where a person has been promoted but not on the date from which he would have been promoted but for the administrative error. Each such case should be dealt on its merit. Staff who have not been promoted on administrative error should on promotion be assigned correct seniority vis-a-vis their juniors already working irrespective of the date of their promotion. Also, all the orders of notification, promotion, or appointment of a railway employee in a substantive or officiating capacity to a post, if later found to be erroneous on the basis of some facts, should be cancelled, and the railway servant should immediately be brought to the position which he would have held but for these incorrect orders of promotion on appointment. Also, the service rendered by a railway servant concerned in the post to which he was promoted wrongly should not be reckoned for the purpose of increment or for any other purpose in that grade. Now let us look how the one way as well as mutual transfer affect the seniority of employees in the new units or departments to which they move. Let us first look at one way on request transfers. So, in cases where a railway servant is transferred from one cadre division or a railway to another one on his own request, the transferred railway servant should be placed below all existing confirmed as well as officiating and temporary railway servant in the relevant grade in the promotion group in the new establishment, irrespective of his date of confirmation or length of service. Here it is to be noted that expression relevant grade referred to above applies to grades where there is an element of direct recruitment. Transfer on request from railway employees working in such grades may only be accepted provided they fulfill the educational qualifications laid down for direct recruitment to that post. So, for instance, if a direct recruitment educational qualification required for a post is 12th pass, then the employee seeking one way request transfer in that seniority unit must already have been 12th pass to be eligible for inter-railway request consideration. No such transfers should be allowed in the intermediate grades, in which all the posts are filled entirely by promotion of staff from the lower grades and there is no element of direct recruitment. Now let us look at how the transfer on mutual exchange affect the seniority of employees. Railway servants transferred on mutual exchange from one cadre of a division, office or railway to the corresponding cadre in another division, office or railway shall retain their seniority on the basis of the date of promotion to that grade or take the seniority of the railway servant with whom they have exchanged, whichever of the two is lower. This essentially means that out of the two employees seeking mutual transfer, the junior employee retains his seniority assigned to him based on the date of promotion to that grade and is placed in the seniority list of new unit based on that. Whereas the senior of the two employee takes up the seniority of the junior employee with whom he has done mutual exchange. Also, mutual transfers may also be permitted between staff in two different grades, but only in the recruitment grade of the cadre and not in the intermediate grades. This means if two employees belonging to two different grades, say one employee is senior passenger guard and other is senior goods guard, apply for mutual exchange, the same may be permitted, but only in recruitment grade of the cadre and not in intermediate grade. That is, these two employees on mutual exchange will be adjusted as goods guard, which is the recruitment grade, and not at senior goods guard, which is an intermediate grade in guards category, and also the designation of junior of the two employees here seeking mutual transfer. Also, it must be ensured that both the employees seeking mutual transfer shall give a written undertaking accepting reversion unconditionally and willing in their own interest to recruitment grade and bottom seniority in the respective new unit. As we are all aware various posts in railways have been categorized under different medical classifications based on the requirement of the job. When a person is found unfit for a post belonging to a higher medical classification, all efforts are made to adjust that employee in a post which is equivalent to the medical classification he is now found fit in. Now, let us see how the seniority of such medically decategorized employees in the new unit is determined. The medically decategorized staff absorbed in alternative post, whether in the same or other cadres, should be allowed seniority in the grade of absorption with reference to the length of service rendered in the equivalent or corresponding grade, irrespective of the rate of pay fixed in the grade of absorption. The staff who are in grade higher than the grade of absorption at the time of medical decategorization, total service in the equivalent and higher grade is to be taken into account. This is subject to the provision that if a medically decategorized employee happens to be absorbed in the cadre from which he was originally promoted, he will not be placed above his erstwhile senior in the grade of absorption. While absorbing the medically decategorized running staff in alternative post, a percentage of basic pay representing the pay element in running allowance as decided by the government through administrative instructions from time to time, which currently is 30% of his basic pay, should be added to the minimum as well as maximum of the scales of pay for deciding and identifying equivalent post, and their seniority should be fixed in equivalent absorbing post. There are also cases where, in the case of staff who are not required to undergo periodical medical examination, but who on their own accord request for change of category on grounds of health and are recommended change of occupation by the medical authority, their change will be treated as transfer on own request and dealt with as per the provision of one-way own request transfer, and the seniority is fixed accordingly in the new seniority unit. And then there might be cases where staff who had come on transfer to another unit accepting bottom seniority and later got medically decategorized in that new unit will get the benefit of only the service in new unit for determination of seniority with decategorization. Sometimes, due to vacancies not being available in equivalent grades, a medically decategorized employee has to be offered absorption in lower grade. In some cases, such employees refuse lower grade in the hope of vacancies in higher grade materializing at a later date. However, it is open to such staff to accept appointment in lower grade with the request that if a vacancy in that grade in the grade equivalent to what he had held before decategorization occurs in the same grade, he should be considered eligible for the same in preference to a junior medically decategorized employee. While the employee could be expected to put in an application when this contingency happens, it is also necessary for administration suo motu when considering a subsequently decategorized employee for absorption in a cadre to look into all such cases where senior decategorized employees might have been absorbed in lower grades in the same cadre during previous 3 years and initiate a review. As a result of the review referred to and above, the junior employee already absorbed and working in higher grade should not be displaced to make room for the senior. The senior may be promoted against the next vacancy arising in the grade and relative seniority in the grade refixed taking into account the position before medical decategorization. When a junior has already been absorbed in a grade, equivalent grade, but a senior gets medically decategorized during next 3 years, and has necessarily to be absorbed in the same cadre as the junior employee, but no vacancy in similar grade is available. He may be provisionally absorbed in a lower grade with the understanding that next vacancy occurring in the higher grade would be given to him. On such a vacancy occurring and him being posted therein, seniority should be recasted as referred to in the previous slide. There may be cases where a senior employee was absorbed in a grade taking into account his position before decategorization, and a junior got promoted subsequently to that grade but ultimately gets medically decategorized and becomes eligible for alternative employment in a higher grade. All such cases which happened because of the efflux of time should not be reviewed. Medically unfit direct recruits offered alternative employment should be placed at the bottom of existing panel of the new category, but should take precedence over candidates who are offered appointment in that category from subsequent panels, that is later panels. Employees who properly appeal within the time limit laid down for appeal, or whose appeal is entertained in a reasonable period and get declared fit, should not lose their seniority or their claims for consideration for promotion in original category. That is, those employees who were originally declared medically unfit but they appeal within the reasonable time and are declared fit again, their seniority is protected. However, those employees, whether they, if they prefer delayed appeals or are declared fit, or such as those who took treatment and consequently declared fit, while they should be permitted to be reposted to their original category, their seniority, if they were formally confirmed or deemed to have been confirmed in their grades, would be affected to the extent of any employee who may have been confirmed or deemed to have been confirmed before their reabsorption into the original category. That is, those employees who have been confirmed in that grade during this period will remain senior to this employee. Also, railway servants whose services were terminated either because of the maximum limit of all leaves, including extraordinary leave, having been exceeded, or the medical authorities could not recommend the grant of extraordinary leave in the case of tuberculosis, pleurisy, and leprosy patients, and are re employed in railway service after being declared fit to work by the medical authorities, should take up their seniority below all permanent railway servants on the date of their re employment, provided they were permanent before medical unfitness or they would have been confirmed in the meantime. Now let's talk about all the staff who have been rendered surplus, how their seniority in the new unit is determined. As per extant rules, the surplus employees are not entitled for benefit of past service rendered in the previous unit or department for the purpose of fixing their seniority in new unit. Such employees are to be treated as fresh entrants in the matter of their seniority. When two or more surplus employees of a particular grade in a unit are selected on different dates for absorption in a grade in another department, their inter se seniority in the latter department will be same as in their previous unit, provided no direct recruit or promoted employee has been absorbed in that grade between these dates. Secondly, when two or more surplus employees of a particular grade in a unit are simultaneously selected for a deployment in another unit, their inter se seniority in that particular grade on re-employment would be same as in their previous unit. Lastly, let's see what are the effects of penalty on the seniority of employees. So, effect of reduction of pay or grade as a measure of penalty on seniority. Firstly, reduction to a lower stage in time scale. Reduction in pay as distinct from reduction from higher grade or class to a lower grade or class does not affect a railway servant's position on the seniority list. The authority ordering reduction should invariably state the period for which it shall be effective and whether on restoration the period of reduction shall operate to postpone his future increments, and if so, to what extent. Now looking at reduction to a lower service grade or post or to a lower time scale. Where the order imposing penalty for reduction doesn't specify the period of reduction and there is coupled with it an order declaring the railway servant permanently unfit for promotion, the question of re-promotion or determination of seniority will obviously not arise. But where the period of reduction is not specified in the order imposing the penalty of reduction, the railway servant should be deemed to be reduced for an indefinite period, that is, till such date as on the basis of his performance subsequent to the order of reduction he may be considered fit for promotion. On re-promotion, the seniority of such a railway servant should be determined by the date of re-promotion. In all such cases, the person loses his original seniority in the higher service grade or post in entirety. On re-promotion, the seniority of such a railway servant should be determined by the date of re-promotion without regard to the service rendered by him in such service grade or post prior to his reduction. Also, in cases where penalty of reduction to a lower service grade or post is for a specified period, the employee concerned should be re-promoted automatically to the post from which he was reduced. The seniority of the employee in original service grade or post should be fixed in such cases in accordance to the following provisions. Firstly, in cases where the reduction is not to operate to postpone future increments, the seniority of railway servant should be fixed in higher service grade or post at which it would have been but for his reduction. Secondly, where the reduction is to operate to postpone future increments, the seniority of railway servant should be fixed by giving credit for the period of service rendered by him in higher service grade or post in higher time scale prior to his reduction. When a railway servant is reduced from a higher grade or class to a lower grade, whether for a specified period or indefinitely, his seniority in the lower grade shall be fixed with reference to his position, which he would have been entitled to but for his promotion to the higher grade or class from which he is reduced. With this, we come to the end of our presentation. I hope you like the presentation and the concepts of fixing the seniority of non-gazetted staff is somewhat clearer to you. Thank you.